Okay, kids, it's time to take your seats. The bell has rung, and that means that Anime 1A is back in session. I am your student, Chris Daly, and this week's guest professor is the incredibly talented Ricco Fajardo. Ricco, how's it going, man?
Going good, man. I'm chilling. Is this so we're doing this in the format like there's students out there? You're all
Well,
late. You're
basically,
all
yeah,
late.
yeah. Basically, I'm kind of the student. Anyone else listening or would be the students, and you're the teacher this week.
Ah, excellent. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
right.
I like this role play.
Awesome. All right, so we'll start things off with an icebreaker question. This week's question: what was your favorite breakfast cereal as a kid, and what is your favorite breakfast cereal now?
Oh, dude, as a kid. Okay, so I grew up, people that know me, and this isn't a sad sack story. I grew up
Sure.
really, really not like, well, we don't have a lot of means, pretty poor.
Sure.
So we would get the knockoff whatever, right? But instead of Fruit Loops, it'd be like Happy Circus Circles or something. Or if like it was, like shredded mini wheats, it'd be like uh tiny snow squares, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, point being
Sure.
is that my favorite, and I love the commercial too, I remember, was Flintstone Fruity Pebbles, because they
Okay.
were just, that was like, I love rice anyways, so it was like
Yeah.
crispy rice but sugar. Like, dang, that's all I need. So anyway, they had the knockoff version of that, which essentially just, when you added milk or whatever, it would turn into just like this slurry
Yeah.
of sugar, which was delicious, and it was multicolored, so that appealed to the kid brain in me. But yeah, the aftermarket Fruity Pebbles that I got, I forget what they were called, probably like, I don't know, rainbow stones or something stupid. But like, if you put when you put those in with so again, this is, like I said, not a sad sack story, but not even like
Yeah.
having milk, but like powdered milk plus aftermarket cereal
Yeah.
equals like freaking an explosive compound of some kind. um
Super
yeah,
mush.
yeah, super much. That is what I was used to eating. What was it on The Simpsons? Like now Malk now with vitamin R, and you're like, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, man. So I would say for everybody that gets the thing, understands, pop culture, it would be Flintstones Fruity Pebbles.
Nice.
Barney.
What about now? What's your favorite breakfast cereal now? Or if you
Oh,
don't eat
that's right.
cereal,
Like
what's your
now,
favorite? Yeah,
I don't, dude. I don't eat
like
cereal
tomorrow
now. I've
morning.
I've grown out of it, kids. Why are you still eating
Okay.
cereal? You should be at work drinking a coffee and eating an energy bar. Actually, that's not too far from the truth. Typically, what I do is I will have like a cup of coffee, or like a cup of tea, just to get my belly going in the
Yeah.
morning, and like a breakfast bar, or like I really like those they're like the super thick builder bars, like the
Oh,
ones that
okay.
have like 20 grams of protein,
Yeah, like
give
the
you
Cliff Bars or whatever.
strength. Yeah,
Okay.
make you powerful. Those ones are
Nice.
good. But if I'm sitting down with you and we're getting breakfast, I get a breakfast burrito all day long.
All right, that's good. That's a good option.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, it was probably Lucky Charms for sure, or like kind of like you, the knockoff
Um,
ones. But sometimes the knockoff one tastes just as good, if not better, than the name brand one, you know?
Sometimes, so if you
Some,
got
not all the
lucky,
time. Yeah.
definitely not. I wonder. I like when they have to find the like the characters. So rather than like, Lucky the Leprechaun, it's got to be whatever, some other kind of like, cheap knockoff, like probably like horribly racist against like the Irish. Like, right away, like, what is this? I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what would it be? What would the? Do you remember what your Lucky Charms like knockoff thing was, or was it
I
an
know.
animal?
No, I think it was I remember just because I'm kind of a fan of pirates. So it was pirate themed marshmallow mateys. All the pieces were like anchors.
Marshmallow mateys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, dude. I love
Yeah.
that. Marshmallow mateys.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness it wasn't like, in my mind, I thought of like the horror movie Leprechaun, and I thought they just did that, but for cereal.
Or like
Scared.
Blarney the Irish gentleman.
They, he just looks so happy on the
Right?
cover.
I don't know. Now though, I don't like kind of like you, I don't eat cereal that much, at least during the week. Sometimes on the weekend I'll get it like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Captain Crunch or
Oh
something like
yeah,
that.
Saturday
But
morning cartoons. Yeah, yeah.
right. But usually it's a lot of toast. Breakfast
Mhm.
burrito sometimes, but it's a lot of toast, like peanut butter toast.
Oh,
just
that's good.
for that extra protein, kind of like
My
your Cliff Bars.
my brother does that. He's got a couple nephews, and the morning jam, no pun intended, is usually just like a piece of bread loaded with a PB and J or some kind of butter and peanut, like butter plus jam, whatever. Like just
Yeah,
put some delicious sugary something onto a piece of bread and let's go.
there you go. Sometimes that's all you need just to get your day
Yeah.
going.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
All right, so you're the man of many voices, many animes, video games, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
What was it that got you into anime in the first place? Not necessarily voicing anime characters, but what got you interested in anime in the first place?
I mean, I'm the youngest sibling of my family growing up in the house, and my step siblings are a bit older, and they would bring home movies. My
Mm,
dad was like a 80s 90s kind of action flick guy, so everything was like Rocky, Predator, freaking the mobster movies like Scarface, like these movies that weren't really meant for kids necessarily, but like my
right.
dad was like, "This is awesome! You're gonna watch Stallone just like murder aliens and other people in the ring." So I didn't. I think the kind of the all bets were off when it came to whatever we watched in the house. However, I remember when my brother Alex brought home Akira.
Mm,
Um, my family didn't know what the hell. I remember my brother's like, "Dude, we can't show this to like our parents because they'll freak out." And we're like, "Why? What does it matter? Is it like is it like freaking? Is it naughty? Is it dirty?" And I was like, "Nah. I mean, well, I don't really know because we don't know what anime was, dude. It was crazy." So like
yeah,
I knew Dragon Ball, I knew Sailor Moon. My cousins and I watched Sailor Moon growing up together, and like, but we never had cable again. Like I said, you had to like move the rabbit ears or find the right. If you got lucky, the channel would come up where you could watch some kind of anime.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the first touch was watching Akira in our little room. I remember shared with my brother, and we were clustered around the VCR. That's a video cassette player, you guys, for those of you that don't understand what that is.
For the young
Um,
kids.
yes, for the kids and out there.
Yeah,
But yeah, like my brother, I think he rented it from like then Blockbuster, another thing that's dating me. But like
yeah,
we popped it in there, dude, and it was bonkers because I'd never seen like I guess a serious quote unquote, like a more mature narrative. And then on top of that, it included all of the like cyberpunk sort of world that I'd never been introduced to outside of maybe
yeah.
Blade Runner. And even that, I didn't have the head for that at the time as a kid. But
Sure.
watching it because it was animated, I think I leaned into it a lot more. So that was like really my first real like, holy cow, this is anime moment. Um, and then again, like I said, I'm the youngest, but like, my older brothers are already like in their 12, 13 years old. I'm like, what is happening? That I like there's a very iconic moment where Tasai, the rock demon, like decimates the Koga ninja team. Spoilers, but then like iconic, hand drawn animation where like this dude's head falls on the ground, and then a second afterwards, rain of blood dapples over him because he's thrown this double bladed like instrument through all the trees where they're all waiting, lying in wait,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
chop 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 chop. So you see head and then blah 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 blood. I remember thinking, this is like insane. But like I couldn't take my eyes away. It was just so
Yeah.
enthralling. I loved all the sword fighting and the music was gorgeous and the themes were insane. Yeah. So after that, it all was like, just everything I could see. I think my favorite when I was younger was and I don't know if I've said this on this podcast before, so sorry if it is repeat, but
It's okay.
freaking Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell is like my
Okay.
still my absolute favorite. But yeah, man.
That's awesome. And this particular podcast is still a fairly new one. So even if you said it somewhere else before,
Good.
doesn't count. We're all
Excellent.
fresh
Yeah.
here. It's all good. Cool, man. Well, so I want to talk now about maybe some of your favorite animes, whether you're in them or not, or if you were to sit down and you're in the mood to watch some anime, what are you going to be watching? Like if you were to go after this, sit down and watch a show, what are you going to watch?
Like today, right now.
Yeah.
Usually stuff that I'm in. So like
Okay. Fair enough.
if I'm able to preview stuff, I'll try to see things. And I have a few shows that are in rotation right now. So like obviously catching up, making sure I'm up to date on My Hero Academia. I read the
Mhm.
manga. BlueLock, I read the manga. Doctor Stone. I've read the manga. Like they're Fire Force, some of these shows, Black Clover. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. There's a few shows that keep like, because I've been in them and my character will show up every so often. I want to make sure I'm just ready to go. So typically, if something's coming up like the Black Clover movie that just came out, for instance, on Netflix, I was like, okay, I need to catch up on the show because the captain of the Silver Eagles doesn't speak very often. So like, I just because I'm not in the show, I still need to know what's happening. So yeah, that would be kind of number one. Priority number one is the gig, is acting. But number two, like I said, man, I feel kind of guilty because I'm like, I've been watching a lot of live action. Not guilty because, like for any reason outside of like the fact that we're on an anime podcast.
Right.
But yeah, my go-to is like, I just finished watching Chernobyl because of listening to the Last of Us podcast that Troy Baker did with the Last of Us crew from the HBO show, because I love video games. I watched the show, was amazing. I love watching video game to screen adaptation and anime adaptation, because the One Piece stuff is coming out. Dude, I will which is, by the way, like super excited to watch that.
Oh, totally.
But in regards to, if I were to plop down and watch an anime right now, I guess I've only seen the first episode of Demon Slayer. So I feel like I need to catch up on that, because I just, it's one of those things, catching up. You never know if there's like a character or something rolling in that you might end up playing. So watching that show is kind of important right now. What else? Man, I really wanted to see that Rooster one, but I don't know if it's actually out yet. There's some manga that I know are getting like actually adapted. I'd have to kind of like channel surf a bit, man. To be honest with you, it's Vinland Saga looked really good.
I heard that one's good.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm like thinking of like what's at the top of my queue right now. Man, I just need a channel surf, I think. Because there's quite a few. And freaking Junji Ito, because I'm in that on Netflix. I'm in the cat episode, which makes me really happy. But that's a style of anime and the horror aspect of stuff that I don't typically watch. It's extra creepy, man. Like when I'm watching like regular horror stuff, I'm like, okay, I get that. I understand the tropes, but anime horror it's a little different. But
it's way different. Yeah, horror is one I usually kind of shy away from a little bit too. But I haven't seen any anime. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of horror anime yet, but I mean, I haven't seen really any that I haven't liked. Like I've had a friend who will say, "Oh, you should go watch this," and most of the stuff I get recommended isn't stuff that's usually in my wheelhouse, but I'll give it a try. Like Jujutsu Kaisen. Totally not something that's in my wheelhouse typically, but I love it. I need it. I haven't watched the new season yet, so I'm kind of behind on that. Same with Demon Slayer. I am caught up on Demon Slayer up to the new season. I only watched like the first episode. Man. It's crazy. Plus, after listening to your last interview with my buddy Jesse and his wife, all the shows that you're in, those are all added to my list now. Zombieland and
Zombieland Saga.
That and BlueLock. I've got so many new things I've got added to my queue now. I'm pretty excited.
I just got back from LA. I went to the LA Galaxy game, and Crunchyroll, like BlueLock, there's a thing there for that. So I showed up and they let me in the suite with like a lot of the folks like who, I don't know if they're the team owners, but like just a lot of very fancy football folks, MLS folks. And I'm like, what am I doing here? They made me a jersey, man, for LA Galaxy.
That's
it was super
cool.
I got a BlueLock X LA Galaxy scarf, which is kind of weird because I live in Dallas, so I feel like I should have FC Dallas. But again, I'll take whatever I get. But dude, it's super fun, man. We've been doing like indoor soccer events. It's hype. The hype for BlueLock is very real.
Nice.
But yeah, and actually I just got back from Tokyo, not just actually a little while ago, last month. And got to go to their big Anime Japan, their big show.
That's cool.
And yeah, the producers for BlueLock were there. I got to meet the crew from Tomo-chan as a girl, because I'm in that show as well. And I got to meet for the first time ever, a seiyuu that I work across from, Ishikawa Kaito, which was really exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude, it's been, I know I said I've kind of been all over the place since I really have. I feel like this might very well be, this podcast might very well be my first, like, I sat down at my desk and I'm back home.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been like you two, watching a lot of live action, because it's kind of like when you watch and finish an anime, you're kind of just have like, I don't really know what the word for it is, but you just are like, oh, I'm finished this show. Now what do I do? Like, I don't know where to go next. Because I had just finished oh my god, I can't think of it all of a sudden. Um they just
Oh, it's all good.
changed it. They just did the live action version. I don't know why I can't think of
Bebop?
it. Yeah, Cowboy Bebop. I
Yeah,
don't know
dude,
why
Bebop's
I
insane.
blanked.
Oh, it's all
I
good.
just I just finished the anime for the first time because I wanted to watch it before I watched the live action.
Sure.
And I watched the live action, and I know it got a lot of hate, but honestly, I thought it was pretty good based on
Dude,
what they did.
uh,
I was
it's so funny, man, because I gotta tell you, like Cowboy Bebop is like iconic. The
yeah,
music is badass.
so
You
good.
probably understand that Cowboy Bebop does like jazz music.
Yeah.
Um, um, Samurai Champloo does hip hop,
Hmm.
which is one of my all time faves as well. So like Bebop, Champloo are like right next to Ghost in the Shell, and Space Dandy is funk. But the way that they like kind of focus on the genres, um, it is so. Oh man, Bebop is really something else. What was your favorite episode? Just out of curiosity, do you remember?
I would probably say the introduction of Ed because
Yeah,
Ed's all time one of my favorite characters in anime.
totally,
I love
totally.
Ed so much, and
Hmm.
I really liked what they did with Ed in live action. I'm very
Hmm.
upset we don't get to see more of
I
that
know. Just when you, I know.
because I thought they were fantastic.
Yes,
But
yes, yes,
it's
yes.
kind of like I just kind of hit that like I don't know what show to start now because Bebop was just so good. I don't know where to go now.
Do you ever go
But
like back and rewatch?
I haven't, well, other than My Hero. My Hero I think is the only one I've rewatched. God, I can't even tell you how many times now.
I like dust. I dusted off one that I didn't know was still around. Fortunately, but it was from a again my beginning anime watching days. But
Yeah.
Wolf's Rain in
Okay.
that one, dude, that one's like pretty dope. It's yeah, and it's funny because some of these shows you watch as a kid, they're different when you're uh a bit older. I was like, oh well, it's not as sad as I remember. Like it's kind of what
Yeah.
not whatever. Just like I'm older now. I've experienced more loss as a kid. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, Kiba, whatever. But yeah. But Bebop stuck with me. I'll tell you, my favorite episode in that show was the spelunking episode where they're
Oh,
looking,
yeah.
ironically, as I just mentioned earlier, for a VCR or a
Yeah.
Betamax. And because they found Faye Valentine's, it was sent to her, COD,
Yeah,
this
the mysterious tape.
Yep, from her past.
Yeah.
Like, well, guess we
Hmm.
got to go deep into the layers of the earth, like freaking skin, dead skin, and find a shopping mall. You know what I mean? Like, that is literally like, and the
Yeah.
music was just so hip. And it was so fun to watch them like just experience the old dusty like our time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is really cool.
Yeah, it was so good. Um, so I have to ask
Mhm.
because this is something I ask everybody. So for a long time, you know, and
Mhm.
even still now sometimes I get flack from my friends because I like dub over sub. Just
Okay.
because I like to sit and kind of I know I some stuff they say gets lost in translation, whatever, but that's just kind of what I prefer just because I like to just watch it instead of have to read and watch it at the same time because
Sure.
apparently I can't keep track of more than one thing at a
N-
time. So I
I
have
feel you.
so I have to ask you, what do you have a preference between sub versus dub?
Uh, I mean, I'll watch what I watch. It's sometimes like during Chernobyl, for instance, watching live action, I prefer to hear the native tongue. In
Sure.
animation, it depends. Uh, I feel like there's more liberty there, and I know it's funny because when I was a kid, I remember being like, "Oh, I love subtitles all day long."
Yeah.
Primarily because it's all I could like literally pirate because I was poor and had nothing. You know what I mean? So I would just get what I could get.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't know what you don't know, but also simultaneously, I think like the dubbing industry is something that has, I mean, not even the past like 10 years has just like freaking completely changed. I mean,
Yeah.
things have been constantly rapidly evolving. And now that there's revenue and there's fan bases are being accessed, not just in English, but, French, German, Russian, Portuguese, Spanish, like, um, it's the accessibility to the medium is greater. And even still inside of folks like, probably stateside, we're like, oh yeah, I prefer the subtitles. It's like you when I'm working on shows, the translation that you see at the bottom isn't always what's being said in
Right.
Japanese. So even though it's being adapted, it's not quite like you might think, this is the most pure form. It's like dude, you're still listening to a translator's take on it. So
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong. I think gosh, I mean, I listen to it all the time for my job. So like some of these performances I hear and I'm like, gosh, I can't not put some of that flavor in there, because typically I'll hear it. Um, I'll hear whatever energy the actors brought. I'll get intention. I'll see the translation. We'll see finesse, if the line really makes sense contextually, and then we'll give it a go. Some actors will prefer to like try to maintain, I guess, like the sort of like tonality, the sing-songiness of like the Japanese, but it is different than English, which is different than Spanish, which is different than French, which is different. Like every language is going to punch different words different ways to give you that feeling. I really can't choose, because I think it's all good. Personally, I do enjoy, like I said, like when I watch live action, I want to hear the actor that's speaking there. But because it's animated, I have more like latitude. Like I'll watch things I'll watch anime in like German if it's a good dub, or Spanish.
That's
Like
fair.
Spanish Dragon Ball is really fun. Like dude, I'm being real. Like there's some dubs
Yeah.
like that just kill it in other languages.
Yeah.
And you're still seeing the subtitles, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it's ironic, it's still being dubbed. Like even in Japanese. Do you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're not doing prelay. They're they're animating to the thing as well, but I mean sometimes. But so yeah, that's I would say I watch both and I enjoy both. And I encourage you, class, for those of you who are listening out there, enjoy it in whatever way you enjoy it, because we are in fact telling the same story. So, if it is Romeo and Juliet in Japanese and that's the way you like it, reading subtitles, heck yeah, do it. You know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing in English, they're gonna be doing in German. Again, like you should enjoy it however you want to enjoy it. But yeah, having the liberty to not read is really exciting as well.
Yeah.
Um, but honestly, I like I kind of just watch it in like a variety of things. It's like whatever I click, man. Now there's so many languages. I'm like, let's see what the French
Oh,
dub got.
dude, totally. Like you'll pull up an anime that's got one season, you see 15 entries because it's got all the different language dubs, which is awesome.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, like, I really can't overstate how important that is. That
Yeah.
people, because now people of all age groups, there are people that are like, grand people, you know what I mean, grandfathers,
Right.
grandmothers, who
Mhm.
are watching Dr. Stone. I was at a convention recently, where a guest came up and they were like, "Yeah, my grandpa watches Dr. Stone with me." I was like, "For real? Are you sure?" And he rolls up. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's my favorite." He's got this shirt and he's like, "I love that show." He's like, "I don't want to read the manga." You know what I mean? Because like, and I'm like, okay, okay. Um, but it's because in the dub they can hear it in their native language and they understand the tonality. Like a lot of folks, yeah,
Yeah.
don't have time to read the screen, nor is it an accurate a way for them to enjoy it in the way they want. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, accessibility is important.
Yeah. That's a good point. So I mentioned that I've had a hard time getting, I've got a ton of stuff on my anime to watch list, and I've had a hard time getting back into pick which one to start next. But again, going back to my good friend Jesse, he recommended The Legendary Hero is Dead.
Oh my god.
I
Did
burned
he actually, or
he
are you making
did.
that up?
I swear, he said you need to watch the legend. If you're talking to Rico, you need to
Oh
watch
my
The
god.
Legendary Hero is Dead.
You gotta show
And
him the
I was like,
movie.
all right, cool. So I went through and I think I burned through that in like 3-4 days. Dude, it's so
Well,
so good.
you know who's a superstar? You are. You're a superstar. Look at this sexy radish right here.
That's amazing. It's missing something though.
It is. It is. I don't have any tiny stockings to put. Dude. Yeah, I got this from in Las Vegas over at Omega Mart at Meow Wolf,
That's
but they have
awesome.
these very seductive radishes, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get one from my director Sean Gann, because like, man, the amount of body thigh humor we had to write. So actually, this is a wonderful wonderful point, kids. Think about the humor one must employ when talking about thighs. Now I'll let you know, puns only work typically in one language. You have to understand like a play on words. Like it's not going to translate all the time in Japanese to English. So like we did work our tail off trying to capture Touka Scott's um obsession with with thighs.
With
uh
Lush with Lush these.
oh man, yeah, that's right. The
Yeah,
ancient magic of Lushthis.
he said Rico plays a character with a very specific interest. So just forewarning, just watch this show. And it was, dude, it's fantastic. So for the people out there, all the other students who haven't watched it yet,
Oh my God.
why don't you tell us a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about the legendary hero is dead?
Okay, I play Touka Scott in The Legendary Hero is Dead. He is the I'd say protagonist, but he's kind of just like a dude. He's a farmer, you guys.
Accurate.
Just a regular dude farmer leading a regular dude life. He thinks his best friend is Yuna is smoking hot. She's got the most beautiful thighs in the world. He objectifies the heck out of her. He does care, but man, he is pretty lascivious. He's not a very like relatable type. Maybe some folks, sorry guys out there who are like, I think I am Touka Scott. If you are, hey, I hope that you are having a good life and that you also are seeing regularly someone for your obsession with vegetables. Again, as long as you're healthy and happy and you're treating people fairly. But yeah, I play Touka. He, without spoiling too much, inadvertently causes the death of the legendary hero played by my good buddy Justin Briner, who plays Izuku Midoriya in My Hero Academia, ironically.
Yeah.
So once that occurs, you might wonder how he did that. Well, you have to watch episode 1, and in the first, I think, 10 minutes, you'll see. But Touka is then set forth on a journey to stumble through trying to fill the shoes of the legendary hero. It's not his job. He doesn't got to do it, but just by many events that occur in the show, you get to see him navigate the world while also trying to utilize his newfound fame for putting sexy stockings on ladies' luscious thighs. It toes the line, man. I got it as again sort of a disclaimer, you guys.
Yeah.
I've voiced anime a long time, about 11 years now, 12 years now, and I have done quite a few shows. I've done a show called Conception, where I played a character that had to impregnate other princesses in order to produce a fighting child, kind of like a Pokemon that comes out, like a love ritual. Yeah, please, if you haven't seen Conception, I played the protagonist again in that. I used that word with a lot of grace. There have been many a show where I've thought to myself, what exactly is happening right now? But for Legendary Hero is Dead, I think you will enjoy the ride. I just finished recording. Actually, it's live now, the final episode, so you can watch the whole season. And I'm finally, I was like, okay, I'm starting to learn more about this guy Touka as the time goes by. This is one of the few shows I haven't read ahead in when I'm playing the sort of main character. So I've been caught a little by surprise by some things, which is really fun because he is also kind of, sorry, he's a bit of a dunce. He doesn't really know big words, doesn't know much of nothing really. He's just learning as we go. But I would say he has a heart of gold. He doesn't. He's just kind of out for himself, but also like there to have a good time. Again, he does care about his friends. But if you're in the way between him and a sexy lady, and he's got a pair of stockings in his hands, you will find yourself flattened by a giant radish. And so, it's hard to kind of talk around it, but yeah, you guys, it's a fun romp. It is pretty, like I said, body and like lascivious, but it's a treat. It's a fun ride, and Touka Scott is not a complete, yes, but like he kind of is a fucking asshole. So, but you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's
sure.
kind of like a good stupid fun kind of.
The way that the director Sean Gann put it for me, he was like, man, you always play these like heroes and like noble guys and like really like intense like hero types. I wanted to give you a break and give you someone who's just like pretty not clownish, not foolish necessarily. He just is, because it's the way he doesn't give he don't give a care, which is fun. Sometimes it's fun to have someone like that. But again, if you watch the story, you'll understand there's more to it. I think the mangaka is taking a break right now, but there is quite a bit of story. So if there is a season 2, but you bet you're gonna see some hot radish action.
Very nice. So yeah, I mean, you mentioned, you usually are playing these big heroic characters. How was it going from doing that to doing the basically a complete 180?
Fun. It was very
Yeah.
liberating, but I was cautious because the first thing I did when I do my research on the show, I like there was a lot of hate for this character because he is quite misogynistic, like right out of the gate. He doesn't really care. He's objectifying people left and right. He's like just kind of like a little bit of a skis, or not even a little bit. He's like outwardly just kind of like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm an actor. I'll perform. I'll do the darn thing. And I'll
Sure.
trust that the writing is good because we're
Yeah.
headed to a place. Just because you met a character at this current state, if it's a good story, they're not going to be anything like they are once you meet them initially. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be an evolution. There's going to be a change. So I
Sure.
do not expect Touka Scott to go through. I think there's some core elements to him that will always remain, which will make it, a fun
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I think we know people in our lives that maybe they've changed over the years, but then all of a sudden they're like, boobs or whatever. You're like, oh great, there you are. Hey man, the guy I met I knew since middle school. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do think playing this kind of character was a nice respite. It really did. I felt at liberty just to like we did a lot of improv in the booth, like having fun with different lines, like because again in this particular kind of like comedy, the comedic moments are like they have to ring, and they can't be too translatey because it's different than it is in the Japanese.
Sure.
Yeah, the punchline in saying it in Japanese just doesn't hit the same way it does in English. So I think this Legendary Heroes Dead is a good example of how a dub can really serve up for a non native or for a native speaker a story that's more accessible and more
Yeah.
funny, to be honest. Like just I mean, I'm not no comparison because I love my Seiyu and I'm sure it's an amazing job because you get the jokes in the Japanese, but like really like just knocking those jokes out of the park. It takes there's a finesse inside of each language. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I mean, I guess for comparison, to me, I kind of felt like it's not going as hard to one way like Mineta from My Hero, but it's definitely not going hard the other way like Denji from Chainsaw Man. I think Toka kind of falls right in the middle where he's not really too far one way or other. It's kind of a little bit creepy, but not super creepy. Like creepy in kind of like a harmless way, kind of, but kind of not
He,
really.
yeah, there is a nobility to him. I don't want to spoil
Yeah.
too much. Like there
Oh,
is
sure.
like he definitely is not doing he's not trying to hurt anyone. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think is the thing. He's not like intending harm. But yeah, there's definitely issues of like you brought up Moneta. That's Brina Palencia, my dear friend,
Yeah.
literally the
Yeah.
person that like got me working in anime since the 4 times. Plays Moneta. And when the first time I heard Moneta and I heard that lisp come out, I was like, oh my God. I was like, what a creative, fun choice.
Yeah.
Because I can't wait for the My Hero time skip where Moneta is like in a 3-piece suit and he's very, very, very charismatic and very, very sweet to women. He's like debonair and charming
Oh man.
because he was a total jerk his whole, you know what I mean? Like in his
Yeah.
childhood, he's still wearing the diaper, oddly. But like, this is like this to me is like, yes, I'm grape shot. I got. um anyway, yeah, these are the things that kind of swim around in my mind are like how these characters evolve and change. And I think for Toka, he definitely does not he's not shy away from letting you know what he likes and what he's
Yeah.
about. And
For sure.
there's something very honest about a person like that who's hard on their sleeve, who's like, well, if there's no thighs here, I'm out of here. Like, what am I even doing here? I'd rather you guys want to go like eat a pizza or something because like if you're not gonna get naked and show me your thighs, I don't care. Like straight up, you're like, okay, dude. Well, then
Yeah.
go to the whatever strip club. Like, do your thing. He's like, I ain't got no money. Like, so, like there's he's very very honest, and so there is something about like the honest idiot that it's really fun because
Yeah.
he does learn.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a very simple man with simple tastes.
Thank you. Yes, simple man, simple tastes.
Yes, exactly. So we've talked a little bit about My Hero. I mean, it seems like there's quite like a little mini reunion of My Hero voices on the show. How is that kind of, does that happen a lot where you've got people from other shows that you're mingling with on more than one show?
Oh yeah, when Sean, I was like, who's the hero as we were working because in the Japanese, I think the Seiyu that played Toka also played Shion. So they just did like the lighter timbre and sort of made it more light, and then he's like, well, but even then I chose a more kind of like rough and gruff kind of approach to like Touka, because he's kind of just a guy, farmer guy. But in the Japanese, they had the same actor playing both roles. Sean, I think I really enjoy that Shion is in fact a different person, even though they occupy, well, spoilers, they occupy the same body. If you haven't watched the show, I'm sorry, you'll see they're both in the same. Anyway, but yeah.
Well,
so
kind of.
Correct. Yes.
They
So you got to
kind
watch
of
to
are.
find out. You got to watch
Yes.
to understand what Chris and I are talking about. But what I was going to say was, I think hearing Justin, because usually I record first, getting to hear him particularly toward the ending episodes was a treat, because there's a lot. There's a lot of hearts. As you know, Mirio and Midori and My Hero have a lot together. I've also worked with Justin on quite a few shows. Grimgar of Ashes and Illusions. I play Haruhito, the thief, and he plays Monato, the priest. Another close kind of brotherly relationship. We, have a fraternal like relationship in My Hero, and then this one as well. It feels like there's a mentorship sort of relationship. It's really sweet. Oh my God, Alexis Tipton, who plays Yuna, is literally like one of the most funny people. She's like, okay, so you see Alexis, you're like, here's this beautiful, talented woman. She probably doesn't have like, maybe at least just exterior shows. If you're like judging a book by its cover, you're like, no, she's in a way that she could like, just be bawdy and nasty. But like, oh my God, like when we're laughing and joking and we're on the tear, dude, like she is like, will constantly bust me up into stitches laughing. So when I found out she was cast as Yuna, the best friend, I was like, oh my God, this is because it really opens the possibility, particularly when you're recording first, because you're operating in a vacuum and you can't hear your scene partner. I can hear, though. I've worked with Alexis long enough to know that if I tee up something, like she'll clobber that thing out of the park. So yeah, similarly, Michelle Rojas, the dear friend of mine. So just trying to make her laugh is a treat. I got a lot of pals on the show. Ian Sinclair, you know what I mean? Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but plays a necromancer. But and he's wonderful. So anytime you get to take your friends who are already funny and cut them loose in a world where they can just be as funny, like as chew the scenery, I'm like, let's go.
So if you had to pick a favorite character, maybe even not one, maybe other than Touka, who would you pick as your favorite character?
In Legendary Heroes Dead?
Yeah.
Huh. Oh man. You know who I like, and this is weird. Every time they come on, I sort of like have to take a step. And this is a weird selection. My friend Britt Lotta plays a character. And again, it's like kind of spoiler-ish, but like they are a character who interacts with Touka and has like they fight, they interact, but also then the relationship changes dramatically. And you don't see this character very often, but it's very poignant and sweet, and it's hard to talk around it. But like can I say it? I'm gonna say it. Okay, so if you haven't watched the show, go watch it now and then come back to this. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Anyway, so tag in. Starting now, spoilers. So Britt plays a character who is a thief that tries to take advantage of Marguerite, which is played by Danny Chambers wonderfully. This character, kind of like Touka, starting off as like a street tough, winds up owing is going to die if Touka does not succeed at his quest. Britt plays it so like there's a somberness to it, but also like a sweetness. I wanted to see more of this character, and that's the sign of a cool character, is when they might just get a little bit of screen time, but you're like, what is their story? What is going on with them? And they start off as, it seems like, as just a character that's kind of around to like cause some havoc. But later on in the story, like they come in clutch. And I think one of the sweetest things that their character says to Touka is when they realize that they're on death's door. They kind of like go, well, I knew this was going to end at some point. Like they already have accepted their fate because they've been risking their life every day. They take like an item, like a crystal that was like their most prized possession. They're like, hey, if you're going to be the one that's supposed to save everyone, do this. Because if I'm going to die, you need to have the best shot. So even, and that I don't know, man, that like gets my heart when there's like the noble thief who's like just trying to get by and trying to live, but then at the same time goes, well, game respects game. If I'm out and this is what it is, it's like not necessarily like an honor debt, but like kind of. It's like, no, well, like if we look out for each other, we look out for each other here. I don't know. It gets me emotional, man. I love characters like that.
That's a good one because I know who you're talking about. And that one at first I was like, man, that character is the worst.
Right.
Toward
Exactly.
the
Like
end.
what the traitor, right? And like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look him up real fast. Here,
But at
yeah, you
the
go,
end I
please.
was like, okay, yeah. So I get what you're saying because that's how the character they had kind of a redemption for themselves. Again, kind of spoiling, kind of not, but that was good. That's good. Um, what about your least favorite character? Like
My
character you love to hate.
Oh man, I guess this is kind of crummy. I feel bad because what is it? The character I'm thinking of is the freaking mayor. And don't get me wrong, he's like super super supportive, right? Um and
Kind
forgive
of.
me. Well, he is. He's really like
Yeah.
he also comes in clutch. But at the again, so we already said the spoiler thing, but you guys, this guy's literally like Princess Marguerite. You'll take off your clothes and show us your stockings, won't you? I'm like, you're the mayor, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is the princess. You can't do that just because, like, I don't know. Not that the legendary hero has any say to do that as well, but like,
Right.
we're a politician, sir. You got people trying to vote for you. I was like irate because I'm like, what? Stop this. The people will not like. But then at the end, I literally, again, spoilers abound. But Touka, after he saves ostensibly everything, the all these sexy ladies are surrounding Touka, and the mayor's like, I hooked you up, kid. Don't worry. Like all these ladies, they wanna see you in private, if you know what I mean. And Toka's like, oh my God, you really are a mayor of the people. Like, he's like so happy. He's like, you are also a perv. So it's like, I think that's a theme in Legendary Hero is Dead, is that like finding your community, specifically perverts that like different fetishes like thigh fetish. But anyway, this guy,
Like
yeah.
Yuna's dad. We don't even
Or Yuna's dad.
we could
It's
talk
just
about
like,
him
yeah,
for a
I
long
mean, like,
time.
yeah, played wonderfully by my pal Eric Vale, who
Yeah.
was like, I couldn't believe it when I saw I was like, you're putting what? Because he's like, super sweet, awesome guy, but also like just a righteous sense of humor. He's like so
Yeah.
good. Eric is funny. Anyway. Anyway, but yeah, man, it's a good team. I'm excited. Hopefully we get another season. I'm excited to really, now that I have an understanding really of like the world, and we sort of world built to the point where we get what's happening. The folks that are around that enjoy the show understand, are aware of it now, and it's not
Yeah.
trying to be something it's not.
Mhm.
It's literally a person who is very comfortable with themselves, trying to traverse the world and just do them, which pretty, I mean, admirable if you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. So, do you want to take a few minutes now to kind of just plug whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, whatever you're working on?
Oh, sure, man. Well, I'm not sure when this is airing, but I'm headed out to MetroCon this weekend out in Tampa, Florida. One of my favorite anime conventions. They do a LARPing event there, which
Oh,
that's the first time
nice.
I've ever done live action role playing, man. The last time we did it, we did a group called Oops All Rogues. So we did 25 rogues that just ran through backstabbing the ever living shit out of everything. It was
That's awesome.
wonderful. This time we're going to do Oops All Wizards. But the thing about LARPing, you guys, if you know this, you have to say the whole spell. So just imagine 25 people with their little sack of seeds, because that's what you have to throw. Your pack is your spell. And you have
Yeah.
like 25 people all saying, I convocate from the heavens, fireball from the wind, or I conjure from the deep below the ice. So you just hear like all these monologues being shouted at you, and you're like one lonely orc with a shield. You're like, what the is happening? Like for all these stuff. So we're gonna nuke just a ton of orcs. It's gonna be great. Excited to do that this weekend. Following that, real quickly, if I can take a look, because I gotta remember what the heck is happening in my life. Following that is Otakon at the end of July, which is going to be in Washington, D.C., another wonderful convention. I think you mentioned Cowboy Bebop earlier. I was very fortunate to sit between Bo and Steve, who play Jet and Spike respectively. And
That's
it was just wild,
fantastic.
man. Like, yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
yeah, they're like next to me and my buddy Zeno. And Zeno plays Hawks and My Hero, among many other things, beautifully.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there next to each other, like, this is kind of surreal, isn't it? And then we did a voice actors of color panel with Bo. And I remember I was like, I remember when, Jet Black. Like, Jet Black is like black. Did you know that? Like, no way, really? Dude, it was like, no, but like, that's real, man. That's like super inspirational. But anyway, I'll leave. That's like a whole nother topic for another podcast at some point. But yeah, so MetroCon this weekend at the end of the month of July, it'll be Otakon. So hope I see you there. Please keep an eye out for BlueLock. We have a movie coming focusing on our buddy Nagi, played by Bryson Bogus. It's going to be very exciting. We have season 2 coming, which is going to be fantastic. Keep an eye out for BlueLock events wherever you are. I'll try to show up to them. Legendary Hero, possibly Dr. Stone new season. My Hero, whenever that's it's dropping next time. Holy smokes. That Time I Got Reincarnated, Slime, Black Clover movie, please watch. If you haven't seen the Slime movie, Scarlet Bond, it's wonderful. There's so much, dude. There's so much. Oh, video games. If you play Fire Emblem Engage, I play Pandreo. Make sure you respec him from healer to wizard. Speaking of wizards, sorcerer, because he does way better like that. The party priest. That's for all the fans out there. And then gosh, man, I have some other games in queue, but I feel like I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about any of them, but you'll hear from me. Watch me on Twitch. It's just my name, Ricco Fajardo. At Twitch, I'm probably going to stream tonight, and I'm trying to be more constant. The game of choice right now for me is Diablo 4, where my buddy Gabe Kunda plays Anarius, so it's very exciting to hear him up there. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for listening. And again, if you need any updates, feel free to just shoot me a message if you want to know what's going on in my life, and happy to respond when I can.
Right on. Well, we'll plug a little bit ourselves as well. You can check us out on geek-network.com. Find all sorts of nerd news, reviews, news about the podcast, all sorts of good stuff there. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at GeeksAZ, Geek Network on Facebook. I'm CD is Weird on Instagram. And if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends, because word of mouth is our friend. And remember, kids, to always go beyond, stay weird, and always geek responsibly. Class is dismissed.
Goodbye.